it gives me great pleasure. He's promised to bring the sun with him. I'm sure it must be in his back pocket. The nation's favourite gardener. Please welcome Monty Don.
Were any of you here earlier today? Right, you suckers for punishment, definitely. I can see it. Oh, you're looking cheerful. You're slightly weather-beaten and banished.
But it looks as though the bags are filling up with lots of plants, which is great.
Yeah.
And while I'm going to ask Monty a few questions from me, really, I just want to find out a bit of information from him. But while we do that, do have in your own minds some questions that you'd like to ask him, and after that we will be round getting him to answer those questions. So, Monty, we see you every week on Gardener's World from your impressive and envious garden at Longmeadow. How did all that begin?
By accident, really. In so much that I mean, if you're asking me how I got into television or how Longmeadow got going, because certainly television was a complete accident. I started out really because I was always a completely obsessed amateur gardener. And I never had any training or qualification except for at home. My parents were very keen gardeners, and we had a big garden, and we had a lot of gardening to do. It was just mowing lawns and clipping and trimming and doing jobs, really. Gardening was seen as a chore. It wasn't seen as something that gave you pleasure and worked for your soul and your heart and your spirit. That would have been seen as, my mother would have thought that was airy-fairy nonsense. Just shut up and get on with it. You know, stop trying to get out of work. So we had a lot of discipline and a lot of information, but not a lot of fun. And in fact, there was a moment in my life which changed everything, which was when I was 17. I was 17 and I was on my third school. I've been expelled from the previous two. I know you'd find it hard to believe looking at this angelic figure in front of you. But I had my moments. Anyway, I'll tell you about it one day, but it's a bad story. It's not good. I came home from school. It was day school. I had hair down on my shoulders, and I went outside, as I always did, but then it was habit, into the garden. And it was a lovely spring day. It was sort of late March, April. This was Hampshire, so fairly far south, warming up. And you know those first spring evenings when you can feel a bit of warmth in the air, and you see the midges, and you take your jersey off for the first time, you roll up your sleeves, you just feel that sunshine come through. And I was sowing carrots, and I prepared the ground, I got a nice till. By 17 I knew how to run a vegetable garden. And I was sowing carrots, and I poured the seed into my hand, and for some reason I was filled with a sensation of complete bliss. And I had this sense, which I later learned, a sort of Buddhist idea, the absence of desire. I had everything I wanted in the world. I wanted for nothing. And that was very odd, because until that precise moment in time, the three things I thought I wanted were sex and drugs and rock and roll. And there weren't a lot of those in the garden, I can tell you. It wasn't for want of trying, but there we are. So carrot seed was filling this void in my life. And I went to bed that night, and I had a dream. And this dream really connects to this day, because I dreamt I put my hands down into the ground, deep down into the ground, and my fingers grew like roots, 10, 20 feet. And I woke up feeling completely rested and calm and happy and enthusiastic. And I've always wanted that connection with the soil. Whenever I'm been away a lot, if I'm depressed, if I'm angry, if I'm tired, I just get my hands into the ground, and it heals, and I connect, and I grow, and sometimes I manage to grow things, and it's that connection So I've always had that. That's a long answer to a very simple
No.
question. And when we were in the fashion business, Elle magazine came to do a lifestyle feature, you know, this type of thing. The lovely home of Sarah and Monty Don, you know? And they were taking pictures of our house, which was a nice house, but it was, you know, we were young, we were 27, 28. They looked out the window and they said, oh, you've got a nice garden. Who did you get to come and do it for you? And, you know, that's fighting talk. And I said, I did my garden. And Sarah did it too. We did it together. So they took a picture of us in the garden. And if any of you here earlier, I found it the other day. I'm standing there without my shirt on, holding a thing like that. Vain little so-and-so that I was. And a national newspaper picked up on that and came and did an interview, and someone else did, because there were no 20-something gardeners. I didn't know any other gardeners because I had no formal training. I didn't have friends who gardened. I was a weirdo who gardened. Still am a weirdo who gardens, but there we are.
And a nice weirdo.
And then from that, I was in the garden one day. I got a phone call from a researcher from a program I've never heard of called This Morning. Granada Television, would I come and do a screen test? And I said, no, I don't really want to do television, thanks very much. And they said, well, we would pay you £100. And I said, I could be persuaded. Maybe. So I went and did a screen test, which involved sitting behind the news desk and reading the news from an autocue for a gardening slot. I got a job. Next week I went up, and I remember what I did. I planted a pot with layers of bulbs. I think I've done this on Gardeners World, but I've done it many times since. And I got the job, basically. And I've never stopped since.
Which is marvellous, and we're very happy that you're not stopping. But going into the planning and evolving of Longmeadow, how did all that? I mean, you had a massive plot.
Well,
where do you start?
It was a bare field. Okay, so Longmeadow was a 2-acre when we bought it. I won't bore you with the full story, but if any of you have read a book Sarah and I wrote called The Jewel Garden, it's in there. It was a completely ruined old farmhouse, deemed uninhabitable by the council. We weren't allowed to go in, we certainly weren't allowed to live in it, with 2 acres of overgrown, abandoned field. And that's the garden. So the first thing I did, and this was November, and that winter I did nothing there, and then the next summer I just cut the grass. I mean, I say grass, there were brambles, there were old tree stumps, there were weeds. I levelled it, and I raked it, and I did that 3 times. Cut and raked it, cut and raked it. And, you know, I hired a mower. I didn't have a mower of my own, I hired it. I used a wooden rake, and I raked it all up. And that was good, because it took time. And then I was planning, and I was drawing out, and I drew a scale drawing of the whole thing. And that's a very good idea. I would say to anybody, if you start a new site, measure it up and plot out everything on it, every tree. And it may seem laborious, but it's quite good fun. It's quite an enjoyable thing to do. And what's amazing is the plan on the ground never looks like it does in real life. You think, oh, that tree isn't there. Well, it is. And so you have to realise, oh, it's closer to that edge than I thought. And then when you go and have another look, you say, yes, it is, that's right. Because your eye always deceives you. So you have a plan, then I laid over the top of that, I started to draw my own plans. And I had big ideas, you know. I wanted that big, grand, dramatic garden. But gradually it sort of worked out. And then, about 18 months after I first got it, I started laying out the hedges and the trees. And a good rule of thumb, or good advice anyway, is get your structure in early, but don't worry about the planting. Get your hedges and trees in, and if need be, just mow in between them. And they can start growing. Because you can always cut into grass. And the garden has gradually evolved. The spaces, the actual areas haven't changed, but the contents of the areas change all the time. And are changing. I change not necessarily because I want them to change.
No, well, you were forced to change because of the
box blight.
Box blight.
Yeah, we got box blight about 2 or 3 years ago, and it has devastated the garden. I've taken out at least half a mile of box hedging and burnt it. and we this winter took out 64 large box balls, some of which I'd had 30 years, and most of which I'd grown from cuttings. And I worked out because each one would cost £400 or £500 to buy, so you're looking at quite a lot of money.
And you're still smiling.
Well, win some, lose some, and we burnt them, and we're making a new area of garden there. But the position is the same, but the function is different. It's now a new herb garden, nice big herb garden, and I'm quite excited by it. I think one of the things you have to accept in a garden, it is always going to change. And you have a flower show like this, where you have these fabulous displays that look just perfect. On Sunday, I'm going to go to Chelsea, where I'll be all week, and there you have show gardens. I mean, you great Chelsea medalists, you know this. Everything looks perfect. And you go and look at your own garden, and you think, oh, bloody hell. But real life isn't perfect. Real life changes. Gardens change, plants grow, seasons change, and that is the beauty of it. And if you can accept the change and be part of the change, then things start to work. But if you're looking for perfection, you will fail. And there's no point in failing on purpose. We all fail all the time, but not on purpose. So to change is a great thing. I'm a great believer.
So I want to go behind the camera now on Gardener's World, because obviously we realise that they don't pitch up, film you, and off you go on the next broadcast. But how does it work? Do you choose the segments that you do? Do they come for a whole week and record 20 segments? How does all that sort of behind the camera stuff work?
The system is there are people I know who think that the camera turns up and finds me somewhere in the garden, films me for precisely 30 minutes, and then transmits it. I hate to disillusion any of you, but it is not like that. There is a team based in Bristol of about 12 to 15 full-time working on the production. So the first thing that happens is that the films that you see, what we call VTs, because videotapes, and it hasn't changed even though they haven't been videotaped for about 5 years, are shot up to a year ahead, and always at least a week ahead, and usually, we have there'll be one that was shot a year ahead, one that was shot a month or so ahead, and one just a day or two. So they are filmed, so when I come to film my stuff, they're all filmed and done. We film Gardener's World usually a week in advance. So the programme that you can watch tonight at 8 o'clock on BBC Two was filmed last Thursday and Friday. And sometimes we film on a Monday and Friday, but usually on a Thursday and or a Friday for the next week. By the time the film crew turns up at 7:30 on the Thursday morning, there will be a script in great detail. I am proud to say that I have never read a word of any script, but other people have written it. But before that, we will have had a meeting, and being the BBC, probably a meeting about the meeting and where the meeting is to be held. But we will have had a meeting which we do over the phone, occasionally by Skype, about the content. And we'll discuss what the film's going to be, because those will be fixed, we'll know those. So maybe, Carol's doing a film about primulas. So therefore, I'm not going to do anything about primulas, but maybe I'll link in from some primulas. So it's
and do you get to choose those segments
no,
yourself?
The films I don't choose.
Right.
I am told what they're going to be, unless I film it, which means I choose. And then we'll say, what's happening there? What's looking good in the garden? What haven't we done? Because we never repeat ourselves. And we are doing, if you think about it, I normally film in a programme 6 or 7 items. And there are 32 programs. But if you do your maths, that's quite a lot of different items. And we try not to repeat them in a year. So it may be that the most pressing job is weeding. But we did weeding last week, so we can't do it. So I'll say, well, the Mechanopsis are looking great, or I really should be planting my dahlias, or the tulips are finished, we need to clear those out. So okay, we'll fit that in, we'll work an item on that. They will say, well, we really would like to do, we need a vegetable item, we need a flower item. And the producer will say, whatever happens, you've got to be doing something when we start. What would you like to be doing, at this time of year that we're not really going to film? Because we're not going to talk about it, you've just got to be seen to be doing it. So gradually the thing gets put together. And there'll be the director, the producer, the researcher, and myself. And I have an absolute veto. I won't do anything I don't want to do. But, unless we all agree, it's pointless for a team. It's teamwork. And as far as I'm concerned, we have our list of things, I then put it. And they write a script. So when the crew turns up, and we have 2 cameras, sound recorders, producer, director, assistant producer, and runner. Sometimes 2 runners, sometimes 3 cameras. They all turn up at 7:30, we'll walk around the garden, and we'll see what's been bashed by the rain, or what's the rabbits have eaten, or whatever, decide whether to do the first setup. I will then go and watch those 3 films, and write an introduction into them and out of them. And then we'll start filming at 8 o'clock. And we stop for a cup of coffee about 11, which we have on the hoof. We stop for half an hour for lunch, around about 1 o'clock, and we try and finish by 6 o'clock. And we do that for 2 days. And so that's 10 hours with short breaks, and it's a minimum of 10 hours for the half-hour program, and then a minimum of 20 hours for the hour program. And then that then takes 3 days to edit. And I will record the voiceover sometime that time.
So a lot of work.
Yeah. A program, your 1 hour program tonight, will be the equivalent of 7 days filming and about 20 days editing.
Massive.
So 27 working days to make it. That's of the team, not people. That's not man days.
Amazing.
Probably more like about 200 man days.
And a practical question: where does Monty Don buy his plants? I know you grow a lot of them. I know that.
I do grow a lot. I mean, I buy some. You'd be amazed at how few I buy. We grow thousands of annuals, both edible and non-edible. And I've always done that, and always do that. We take quite a lot of cuttings. We divide and split and all the rest of it. I think internet has taken us back to the best days of catalogues. But instead of having to fill in a form and mail it off, you just go to a website and send it off. And I think it's been great for small nurseries, the internet. So I try and use special, localized nurseries. I don't go to big. Here's the truth, I hardly ever go to competitors. And the main reason is about 10 years ago I went into a garden centre, and I'd only been there about 2 minutes, and over the tannoy suddenly it said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Monty Don is in the store." And you've never seen anybody run out of a garden centre quickly. For me.
And you've not been back since?
Well, occasionally, but not often. No. I go to local suppliers. I will buy plants from garages. There's a health food shop that sells hellebores every February. Small nurseries, local nurseries.
Do people not shower you with plants? Do you not?
To a different point, but I mean, in all seriousness, BBC has very strict rules about you're not allowed to be seen to be taking advantage of licensed players' money. So I'm not allowed to accept any discount that would not normally go to someone strict. And I certainly am not allowed to promote or advertise it. No. So there are offers, but and also I have to admit that if I'm filming a particular plant going in, the BBC buy it. So if I'm planting a rose, the BBC will buy it. But only that rose.
Only that one.
Yeah.
We know that Gardeners' World is celebrating 50 years this year, and you told us your plant of choice. Can you remind us what that plant...
I don't know if any of you have been watching, we have been looking for the plant with the greatest impact, and I say that with emphasis, over the last 50 years. Not our favourite plant, not the best plant, not the most beautiful plant, but the one that has changed and affected and influenced the way that we garden and our gardens most over the last 50 years. Now, 10 presenters have put forward their case, and I have to say that about 8 of those 10 have cheated shamefully, simply promoted the plant they like best, but that's fine, that's what they do. I came to the conclusion, after thinking about it, and I made a series called The Secret History of British Gardening a couple of years ago. And when we were filming it, I realised that most of the changes in our gardens are driven by technological and changes in society more than horticulture. So in other words, horticulture follows, it doesn't lead. So for example, the reason why we have lawns is because the lawnmower was invented, not the other way around. The lawnmower was a machine used for cutting wool, for napping wool, and then it was adapted to cut grass. Until we had the lawnmower, people didn't have lawns because you had to cut them with a scythe. It was too difficult, too awkward. As soon as you get a lawnmower, it's easy, so you can use it. I put forward bedding plants because until 50 years ago, there were very few garden centres. Most people here would not have possessed their own car. At most, there was one car per household. And it was used by the breadwinner to go to work. So the only time you could go shopping was on a Saturday afternoon. And you couldn't really go on a Sunday because shops weren't open on a Sunday. Except garden centres. Garden centres have always been open on a Sunday. And gradually they realised that people wanted to shop. So if you could produce bedding, cheap, in flower, people could come in their cars, put 10 quid's worth of bedding in the boot, or the equivalent of 10 quid, 50 years ago, it would have been 10 bob at most, and plant it within the hour. Instant garden, cheers you up, window box, put some colour, put some marigolds in. And that has changed the way we garden. That did not happen 50 years ago. It's still happening now. Bedding is still the best-selling plant in most garden centres. That was my theory. You will be free to vote, and voting, if you watch tonight's programme, I'll tell you how to do it. You can vote this weekend. Voting closes on Sunday night. Just remember, bedding.
You've got your plug in. We'll definitely make sure we cast our vote. Not only do you always have your hands in the soil, but also with a pen in your hand or on the, I presume you've got a laptop.
I have a notebook.
Or maybe a typewriter. I like the idea of you having a typewriter.
I do have. I wrote my first book on my father's 1930s typewriter. I use a laptop. I use technology, I'm afraid.
Well, that's good.
I always have it with me, and wherever I am, I'm always writing.
And the process of writing. How do you enjoy doing the process of writing books?
I always think of myself as a writer who does some television, not the other way around. I always wanted to write from a small boy. The proudest moment of my life was when I got the first bound edition of my first book. I'm always writing. I write 12 articles a month. I have got another book coming out this year. I wrote a book about my dogs last year. I'm going to write another dog book next year. I've got a gardening book coming out. So I've always got something on the go. And I love writing. I'm a writer. That's what I do. That's my trade.
So what does Monty do for rest and relaxation?
I garden. I'm lucky in so much that I have two qualities which I realise over the course of time are advantages. I'm very quick to recover. I get tired, I get ill, I get stroppy, I get all those things. But as my wife always says, just give him some food and he'll be all right. You know, a few hours sleep or a sandwich and I'm fine. I'm ready to go again. So I don't, after 3 or 4 days holiday, I'm ready.
You're ready to go. Go.
There's that, and also I genuinely just go and garden. I mean, I can't overemphasize how boring I am. That's what I do.
You're not.
You're
not boring. You're curious to me, anyway. We are moments away from what is the greatest garden show in the world, I think. And I know you're speeding off there after you finished with us here.
Yeah.
Chelsea Flower Show, over 100 years old. What are its highlights for you? What do you find intriguing or not, as the case may be? It doesn't all have to be up. We're with friends. You can tell us what you really feel about the show. Obviously, it's not a patch on here, obviously.
No, I was going to say, my great regret of Chelsea is that it isn't here. I think that the right attitude to get the most from Chelsea is to see it as a pageant, to see it as a celebration of gardening and an exhibition of excellence that is founded is very, very remote from the experience of our own back gardens. You know, show gardens now have an average price, I think, of somewhere around about £300,000 to £400,000. They will take a large team, a year to put together. And they are literally aiming at perfection. Now, I've just said it's impossible. Well, it's not impossible for about 3 days.